So we have an annual event that's happened in New York City in June. And these informational sessions are meant to help educate behind the scenes creatives about things that are going on that may affect them and just to pull people into our world. So we appreciate all of you for coming and having interest in this topic. And again, thank you to our presenters who've shown up here today and giving their time to share their projects and their insights due to those projects. Matty Shimura, Regis Terencio, and Lynn Rogoff. And I'm first going to do just introduction about what is the Art of Movie Making Film Festival, because a lot of you, this may be your first time ever even hearing about it or knowing what it is. So we just had our 3rd annual event in New York City. First time in New York City, the first 2 events were in Central New York. And we are the only film festival dedicated 100% to the behind the scenes creatives. So we have categories to our event like best stop motion, best puppets, best sound effects, new and old technology, drone video, stunt performances, game video, which we have now added VR and 2D because we have learned that there are differences between the 2 types of video art for those, and a whole bunch of others, costumes, hair. So all those people who are working behind the scenes and using their artistic talents, and making movies magical, but not getting the same recognition as the actors, actresses, producers, and directors, and the writers. So we started this 3 years ago. We were looking for a space for our own travel reality show that was based around artists, for a place for it to land in Film Fest. And we're saying, how come we're not seeing what we were looking for? This is my first entry into film festivals and going, it's all the same categories. So that's where it came from. And in our 3rd year, we had a great turnout, and all of the creators had a really great time having a chance to talk about the work, the props that they put into it, the set design, and all of that, instead of hearing it from the director talking for them. So that was really exciting. So that's what we're doing. So the annual event will always be New York City. Well, I can't say always, but it is for the near future going to always be New York City. And we're having the awards there. In between, we're having these informational sessions that are low cost, low budget, easy access for us and for other people to join and to help spread the word and to provide information to the behind the scenes creatives specifically. And then we are having regional events. So their next one is New Jersey. It's going to be October 23rd and 24th. And that is an opportunity for filmmakers who live in the area, who have created in the area, gone to school in the area, to submit their work and have a chance to screen and do Q&A and talk about all of their behind the scenes work as well. An opportunity, again, that they don't normally get to have. And we're planning on in LA. So those of you who are on here, Matty, Regis, Cheryl, I hope we'll see you next year in LA. And we're also planning one in Atlanta. And so we plan on these traveling events too, so we can kind of reach everybody. Because another big strength about this is networking, getting all the creatives together in a room together. And the stunts and the gamers in the same room, which for me, the first time I saw that happen was magical. You know, nerdy gamers talking to these buff stunt performers, and they're just having these full conversations about the projects that they have worked on or could work on together. And then screenwriters talking to animators, and it's a really cool for me. The vision is for filmmaker to come in the room and have a special effects person, an animator, a puppet designer, all the stuff that they may need, all right here in the room together. It's a very cool idea. So again, I want to thank Laz for helping us with the tech today, and Aldea, our creative director, for assisting with everything else, everything that I'm not doing, keeping my head on straight. And then, all right, I already talked about this stuff. So AI, we're here tonight to talk about AI. Some people want to talk about it. Some people don't want to talk about it. Some people want to pull their hair out about it. It's here, it's not going anywhere. So we are here to have a conversation, not to try to sell anybody on it or try to promote it one way or the other. It's not political. It's here to show some real life projects, how they were created, why they were created, and then answer any questions that you might have on how you can take advantage of it, fears, what you think is going to happen, what they think from their expert opinions. Eckhart Tolle says with any challenge in life, you can accept it, change it, or leave it. AI is no different. It's here, it's happening, accept it, change it, or leave it. So hopefully after we have our presenters talk about their projects for the first portion of the webinar, we'll switch it over to Q&A, and you can ask all your questions in the chat. We may be able to unmute you and you can just ask your question. So I ask that you hold your questions to the end. We'll manage it all at that point. Aldea will help me with that. And then hopefully after you've heard more about their projects and what they're using them for, because it's not all what people think AI is being used for. And then we will have the conversation. And after that, you can make an informed decision about whether you'd like to accept it, change it, or leave it. And so I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover, except if you are not already following us on Instagram or following us on YouTube, please do that. Join us on LinkedIn. That's where a lot of the updates about the events are happening, where we're keeping in touch with people. So we have a LinkedIn page, we have the Instagram page where we're sharing lots of updates. Videos are coming out from the New Jersey or the annual event in New York City. And then all of our updates for future events will be coming through those channels. So we'd love to have you following there. And now I will move on to our first presenter, Matty Shimura. He is actually presenting today from China. So we have the entire globe covered with us in New York City, Regis in LA, and Matty in China, which is very exciting. So Matty's a filmmaker and project manager who has produced video content for over 17 years. His work has been featured in Meta, the Tribeca Film Festival, the Cannes Film Festival, and the AT&T Shape Create-a-thon, and on C-SPAN. He now is leading AI filmmaking initiatives at Civitai, such as Project Odyssey, a film competition, an AI film competition. This is to connect filmmakers with the tools, break down the stigma of work with AI, and to create equitable opportunities for artists to tell their stories.
Perfect. Yeah, so I work at Civitai as the executive producer of AI Film and TV. So I'm in charge of leading our initiatives with original IP, creator ecosystems, and being able to bring on partners from various AI filmmaking companies in the space. So Civitai is one of the top content hosting and model hosting for Stable Diffusion assets. We are a creator community of around maybe 5 million monthly active users. And we've really been able to take that approach of how can we connect creators and making the tools more accessible. Our community is more of those people who do like to do that technical deep dive and are focused mainly on image generation, especially with, and are starting to get introduced to video generation too. My background, as Laura mentioned, is in filmmaking. I've done many documentary shorts and narrative shorts over the years. So being able to see maybe a year and a half ago how these tools were coming up, I was really excited to be able to get hands-on with them and go from just having these ideas that I would write in my sticky notes and then actually be able to create them instead of it just having gathering dust. So we wanted to be able to create this pipeline of having people introduced to the tools, giving them this tangible opportunity, and then not only providing exposure, but also cash prizes. We want to be able to show that this can be a way for filmmakers to not just have it as a hobby or as a side hustle, but actually as a real long-term career. There are so many barriers to entry to Hollywood, and I think it's now just becoming accessible enough where some of those gatekeepers or those people who have that a lot of control over the decision. Not everyone can live in Hollywood. Not everyone can go to film school or know someone at one of the studio lots. So I think there are going to be these new formats, and that's what we brought together with, I think it was maybe 17 or 19 companies and communities in the space. So similar to a traditional film festival, we had various categories: 3D animation, music video, narrative. But the one I really wanted to focus on for today was our behind the scenes category. So I think one of the main issues and main contentions that people have with AI filmmaking is that it's this black box. People think that AI filmmakers, it's just plug and play. They're clicking a button and they, boom, they have a film at the end of it. When in reality, I think there's a lot of hard work, craft, and artistry going into these films that people oftentimes, it's hard to see, because with traditional filmmaking, that's such a collaborative process. Whereas with AI filmmaking, you as an individual are empowered to do so much. So I really stress the importance of doing a behind the scenes category to humanize the people who are involved and legitimize it in a way, because I think that the biggest issue for AI adoption is not the technology, it's a PR issue. And many of the most talented filmmakers who are going to be best at using those tools are those who come from traditional backgrounds, who know how to tell stories, who know how to develop characters. And so, Laura, actually, if you click on the awards tab there, at the top in the header, yeah, so we have those various categories, and for any of those, you can go see the winners at projectodyssey.ai. But if you click on the behind the scenes one, we had really, I think 5 or 6 really fantastic winners who we selected, who they made a film for the competition. It was in 2 parts. And then they also had to make a behind the scenes mini doc that features themselves, features their workflows. And I think part of the AI community is being open and sharing about what processes you used. It's often even looked down upon to gatekeeper or hide your techniques. So I have a little bit of a montage prepared for you, Laura. There's that YouTube link I sent at the Zoom. It's around 1 minute, so we could play that, and then I can pass it off to one of the other speakers as kind of the background for myself, for the competition, and for Civitai as the company. Well, I can talk through it a little as you play it. I just posted the link here again. So this is, people had their films for the competition, and they showed how they did motion capture, how they used 3D engines, how they use some of the different sponsored tools. So for all of the companies, they wanted to provide free trials for people to get into it, for those who may not have had that opportunity otherwise. So I thought actually the behind the scenes category was my favorite to watch, to have these creators really talk about their process, and you get to know them. It humanizes them. You really see how the sausage is made. And so I think it was something that we'll continue to have in our next competition, and hopefully it inspires more people to share about themselves and share about why they're passionate about AI, and hopefully so that people who are watching can say, hey, that's kind of like me. That's something like I would want to make, and just goes a little bit each time towards bringing more people into the fold.
Thank you, Matty. That was great. I love that you have such a large community getting behind doing all of this and providing the opportunity for people to share. When is the next competition, did you say?
Yeah, so for this competition, we had 1,300.
Sorry, now you're muted.
1,300.
We're playing back and forth.
We had all good. Yeah, we had 1,300 submissions for this one. It ran over the course of 1 month because people have busy lives, so they have some 48-hour film festivals for AI, but we wanted to give people a little bit more time. We are thinking of actually doing this next one, late September, October, and running it maybe 4 times a year. There are some other AI film festivals out there. Runway has a really excellent one. But I think we are going to be able to scale this, bring on more companies, bring on more categories each time, and really make it like I think of it being inspired by the Olympics that just happened. You have these companies, it's more neutral playing ground, and are able to have everyone to come send their best talent and try to make a name for themselves.
Regis is a renowned Brazilian producer and actor known for his impactful storytelling and commitment to social change. With a career spanning over 2 decades, Regis has worked on a variety of projects in South America and the US that explore critical issues through the power of cinema. His notable works include the sci-fi thriller The Abandoned, which was released by Oscar-winning studio Lionsgate just recently, and the groundbreaking documentary series Impact Hope, which highlights the struggles of Rwandan refugees and stands out as one of the first nationally broadcast TV shows, particularly created with AI tools, which we'll be hearing about shortly. And Regis is also the founder of SCAYE, which he can tell you if there is a shorter version of that, an entertainment and commercial fundraising company that partners with charities, celebrities, and brands to support social causes. So I'm super excited to introduce you to Regis. And we're gonna swap microphones now and take it away.
Hey everyone, thanks for the opportunity, and thanks Laura, thanks Matty. It was very interesting. Love to connect with you later. And yeah, I'm Regis Terencio. I was born and raised in Brazil. Moved to LA about like 7 years ago. I am a film producer and entrepreneur, founder of Sky, the commercial fundraising company that partners with charities, celebrities, brands to make films to support social causes. I'm also co-founder of Bodo Creative, a digital marketing and social media agency, and a co-founder and member of Producing and Big Puddle Films, both video production companies. And if you stay to the end, I will show you a clip of the documentary show that is on TV right now that we created with AI. And I will share a little bit of how the creative process, how we made it. But I would like to start off with a story that happened in April of 2008. I was taken as a Brazilian case of success to present an educational show that I had created for Microsoft Brazil. And I was taken to a conference, a Microsoft conference called Government Leaders Forum in Miami. It was my first time ever on a plane, my first time ever leaving the country, my first time like stepping in the USA, and even like staying at a hotel. And like the audience was filled with leaders from everywhere and Bill Gates, and I didn't speak English at the time. So I had an interpreter. But I did want to say like at least one sentence in English to connect, with Bill Gates and all those leaders. And the thing that I decided to say was that Brazilian beaches are prettier than American beaches, but I didn't know how to pronounce the word beach correctly. So that didn't go very well. After that, there was a press conference with the vice president of Microsoft at the time, Orlando Ayala, and the president of Bradesco Foundation, the company that took me to that conference, and at the press conference, they removed the microphone from me. So I guess they were thinking, well, maybe, just maybe, we should not take the risk of him saying the same thing to the press. So I was at at a trainee program at Microsoft in Brazil, and it was a 3-year trainee program that was about to end. And Microsoft would not hire me after that. They could, but they decided not to. Even though I created this show that was like a wild success in Brazil, I presented to Bill Gates, but still they would not hire me for one single reason. I didn't speak English at the time. And then I decided that I would not lose any other opportunity in my life because of not having that skill. And I moved to Ireland to learn English, and here I am. But I could have easily, just stayed in Brazil, speaking Portuguese like all Brazilians, and having, living my life there. There are over 200 million people in Brazil. Most people in Brazil only speak Portuguese. There is a tiny percentage of people that speak very little English. And an even smaller percentage that would speak English fluently. So it was easy for me to just stay there, like maybe I was a child actor since I was 9. So maybe just keep acting and or maybe do some more working in IT. But I knew that learning this skill, learning this tool, learning English could be a really big part of my future. And I wanted to learn it. I wanted to take the risk to learn. I wanted to take the time out of my schedule to learn it, you know, spend all my assets, all my resources to acquire this skill. And let me tell you the things that happened since I learned English. You know, like in my second year in LA, I produced a Lionsgate feature that would never have happened if I decided to stay in Brazil and not learn this skill. And now, as a producer, I have other projects in development to be filmed in Brazil. And I know of several DPs or actors or like any crew members in Brazil that would be amazing for this project. They don't speak English. They can't take the job, which is okay. But for this opportunity, someone that maybe isn't as skilled as them in their craft, but speaks English, they will take the job. And I don't know if you see where I'm getting at with this story, but I hope so at this point, because it's exactly the same thing with AI. You know, I think it's sad that most of my friends in the film industry, they want to avoid the topic. Like when I'm film sets, I often bring up the topic of AI, and I feel like it becomes tense. And I think it's sad, you know, that sometimes they are mad at AI, but AI is just numbers. It's just like a language model. It's a tool. Why are you mad at numbers? You know, you should be mad at those people that are using it to harm you or to take jobs, but not at the tool, because it's a really good tool. You know, in fact, you could use this very same tool to fight back if you're mad. But, you know, it's just like if they invented a new super high-end camera, and the DPs or camera operators who learn how to operate this, they're the ones who are going to be hired by big studios when they're making a film that requires that camera. And same thing with AI. So yeah, there should be rules and regulations, but those who learn how to use it will just be better equipped. So I think that AI tools are very powerful tools that can do so many things, and we haven't even scratched the surface. It's not even AGI yet, but it's still so powerful. And if, you know, the big studios are using it to cut jobs and optimize profits, but it's at your disposal, why would you not explore it and use it as well? And it reminds me of when social media started becoming popular. And there were so many of my artist friends and business owners that were like, nah, I don't need Instagram. I don't like it. But you think they would say the same thing now about social media? You know, like not important. No need to learn it. It's not going to help me. So before I show you the clip of the documentary that we made, I just wanted to leave you with this thought. If knowing what you know today about YouTube and Instagram and social media, paid ads, online funnels, if you could go back in time when all this was fresh, you know, would you have taken the time to learn it a little more, explore it a little more? Would you have done anything differently? So you have the very same opportunity now with AI. And moving on, I am going to show you a clip of the documentary series called Impact Hope that Laura mentioned. It's a documentary that sheds light on the struggles of Rwandan refugees. And we were one of the first ever TV shows broadcast on national TV created with the help of AI. So I'm going to show a clip. Hopefully it will play sound. And I will just share a little bit about the creative process. Okay, let me see. Can I share? Yes, I can share. Great. Okay. So here, share. Okay. Let me know if you can see it. Okay. Oh, this is the press conference, by the way. You see the microphone is away from me. Okay. Well, it's okay. There is a narration. It's part of the episode. This is one of the episodes, episode 8, about a guy named Jackson. And all this, let me just turn down the volume for me. So all these people that were part of this documentary, they were sharing their stories about what happened to them during the genocide in Rwanda. And of course, we didn't have any footage of that. So we decided to recreate some of that using AI. And we used several tools to do that. And this was last year. So we didn't have Gen 2, even Runway Gen 2 when we started, or like Gen 3 that was just released. And we started to evolve. Like if you watch the first episode and then the last episode, even like the images look different because then we had more technology when we were getting towards the end of the show. Okay, so let me share here. So like we used, so you see, okay, so like for example here, we decided when we created this, we didn't want people to look at AI images and be misled that it could be like real footage. So we created this style of chalkboard drawings. And we did most of the illustrations using DALL-E. That was the tool we tried, Midjourney, DALL-E, and a couple others. And DALL-E was the one we got the best results. And then we would animate it with Gen 2 once it was released. This is episode 8, so Gen 2 was already released. So for example, in this one, we would also like use different tools. So like here we used Midjourney, but then it would never create the entire thing as we wanted. So of course, like we created several images and then did a collage to put everything together. Or like when we created these images and then they would also always make guys wearing skirts. And then like what my point is, there were always like some retouching to the images. Like here, this measuring tape was always like inside his mouth. So there is always like some retouching. So you always need like, even though like you can accelerate the process and AI is gonna help you do things, but you still need like a professional like artist to come and retouch something or combine things to make it better. And then we would also like create different layers. Let me show you just like this. So here, okay, you see there is like a crowd that flies by. So we would create layers, like we would create like the backdrop, and then there was like another AI generation, and then this guy is another AI generation. So we would create different layers and then combine them together using another AI tool. So when people say like AI is gonna take our jobs, I think like you are not thinking straight, because you still need people that really know what they are doing, and like you need a professional colorist or a professional DP or whatever to know how to write the prompts to get the specific image that we want, and then like to combine everything together later and retouch it. So just wanted to show like this just little piece of it. And yeah, if you guys have questions, we can take it in the Q&A. And then if you go to my Instagram, you can also, because you are not gonna see listen to any sound here. So on my Instagram, you can see the link to the trailer of my Lionsgate movie, The Aben. It's available on all digital platforms, so go check it out as well. And before I finish, this is my Instagram. Feel free to go and follow me and hit me up if you want to talk about AI or anything, film projects or anything. And this is my digital marketing social media business. Bodo Creative, feel free as well. Okay, thank you.
Okay, again, bear with the microphone swap. Here we go. All right. Thank you, Regis. That was great. I cannot, every time you tell the story about the beaches, I just, it cracks me up. And all fears of public speaking, you know, what's the worst that could happen? There you go. But appreciate that. I love the work. Sorry, I don't know what's happening with the sound, but like I said, we're dealing with multiple logins at the same time and having to swap sound. So theoretically it should be working. It's not. Hopefully we're gonna get Lynn's to work here because hers goes really well with her videos. But hers is coming out of her presentation and it worked the other day. So this is the other thing. This was working. I promise you we have tested this. But let me introduce Lynn. Lynn Rogoff is the creator of Bird Woman and is a writer, director, producer, and professor. Her company, AmeriKids Productions, creates groundbreaking content in film, TV, games, and theater. She is writing and directing Bird Woman, Sacagawea, that you will be hearing more about in just a minute. It's a feature-length AI magical realism drama about the Native American guide, Sacagawea. The series has won 6 film festivals, and I think that's more since I received this. Including Best Heritage Historical Impact Award and Best Animation Special Effect. She's received a WGA nomination for No Maps on My Taps, documenting Black tap dancers' contributions to American history, and won 2 Emmy Awards for a film concert at Small's Paradise. She created the Pony Express Rider game for McGraw-Hill, leading to a $1.5 million project. And as a WGA Foundation Fellow, she dramatized Ben Love, Emma, based on Emma Goldman and Dr. Ben Reitman. Rogoff holds an MFA in theater directing from NYU and is an adjunct professor at the New York Institute of Technology. And it's time for you to take it away. You should be able to see her screen.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I will share with you the history and the creation of our AI feature-length film, Bird Woman. Given the interest and the controversies in AI filmmaking, we wanted to share how human creativity and AI can work side by side. First, I'll give you a little history of our subject, the Native American Sacagawea in traditional film. Then how we went about working with our actors' voices to create these animations, and then to create from still images movement. So first I'll show you our trailer.
A young mountain girl from the Shoshone tribe lives among us. One Sacagawea means bird woman in Shoshone. She remembers the hard route from her child life. was one in a gamble, and now belongs to Charbonneau here, our French trapper. She is large with his child inside her belly, but strong and clever.
Our mission is to find and map a great path by water westward, clear to the great everywhere saltwater.
We have been sent by our great chief in the east to get the tribes to make peace.
My brother, Kameawa, is not only alive, but is also chief.
The friends of my sister are my brothers. Our wise guide, Toby, will cross the mountain with his sons.
I do not believe what I hear. A woman and child on this military expedition?
I name you American name, Janie. Are you sure you're not a hawk?
Hawk, no. Eagle, maybe.
She can't be bribed. She'll not drink your firewater. She'll be loyal. She not demand pay. She speaks their tongue. You are very rich here, rich beyond your dreams. There is nothing there but angry spirits.
Little Eagle. Is that you, Mother? Stay by my side.
Take courage.
Am I Shoshone, Mandan, or what now?
You will see great distances for many miles and for many years.
Are you Manatare? Have you become Paleface? Or are you still my blood?
I am not becoming this Janie, but what is happening to me?
A major motion picture of 1955, The Far Horizons, was the first to mention Sacagawea. Aside from the obvious miscasting of a white woman in this film, there was one glaring flaw Sacagawea and Clark never had a love affair.
So we're going to share with you how she went from traditional film image to AI.
In 06, Sacagawea is a supporting character in This Night at the Museum trilogy franchise. She is a waxwork figure that comes alive, but her story is never told.
Welcome to the exciting journey of AmeriKids Productions, where innovation meets creativity.
So here we're going to share with you how we move from traditional film to pioneering games and then to pioneering in AI filmmaking. AmeriKids dramatizes young people's deeds in history and in culture. So in the mid-90s, our company moved from TV to games. We moved from traditional live action to interactivity. Thus, the live action was ultimated on top of a graphic background.
Howdy now, that's Buffalo Bill Cody.
And she's Calamity Jane. You're about to become a heroic rider for the Pony Express.
Pony Express Rider, our flagship game, showcased live actors seamlessly integrated into a captivating graphic background using blue screens. From cutting-edge technology to AI advancements, AmeriKids Productions has always been at the forefront of games and filmmaking.
So here we had to make an interactive horse, and nobody in America knew how to do that. So we had to go to Eastern Europe to find a programmer for our interactive horses.
Our collaboration with McGraw-Hill Home Interactive led to the launch of the groundbreaking Pony Express Rider game, marking the beginning of a new era for our AmeriKids series. Exploring historical imagery of Sacagawea and Lewis and Clark from the 19th and 20th centuries for our film, we realized the need to bridge the gap to engage our modern audience effectively. Enter the era of AI technology. AmeriKids Productions embraced the future by exploring 21st century characters and animations that resonate with audiences of today.
Here you can see these were the first iterations of AI characters. They were not able to move and they couldn't talk. But we were able to create these characters that were 21st century look about them.
Camaway, here are 12 more rifles.
Now we could get them to talk and to move.
I hope our words will not be forgotten.
Join us as we revolutionize the filmmaking industry with our dedication to pushing boundaries and delivering immersive experiences like never before. Step into the world of visual storytelling as we unveil the enchanting process of transforming still images into captivating videos.
So now I will break down how we actually created this magical realism animation and movement in AI. I will review using Midjourney as an AI software tool that allowed image makers to enter a prompt and then generate an IA image. Then we took these Midjourney images and characters and we put them into software where you can input their voices and their characters' images and get output a character speaking your dialogue. Then I share with you how we took these Midjourney images and input them into Runway to create movement. Runway is an AI software tool that allows the user to generate specific movements that you direct Runway to create using their brush interface.
I didn't finish my drawing.
A squall. Batten down the hatches.
Our medicine, the sextant, the compass,
the journals, the scopes.
Je ne peux pas contrôler le gouvernail. Des rudder. Des rudder.
The scopes.
Je ne sais pas nager. Bon adieu. Bon adieu. Aidez-moi.
Grab that rudder.
Or I'll shoot your French head off. The compass.
The sextant.
I go in.
No, 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 not with Pomp 2.
No problem. Pomp is tightly strapped to my back. I can jump into the river.
Where are they? Lightning in the water? What are these lights? The northern lights?
Bird Woman lights up the dark waters and see the instruments and journals sinking under the whirling currents. Bird Woman quickly grabs them one by one as they are all swept down the rapids.
My journals!
Red Scalp, we find good medicine. I go again.
Bird Woman dives deeper into the dark water.
Brazen-faced. Are you sure you're not a hawk?
Hawk, no. Eagle, maybe.
So now I'll show you break down how we did that.
Chief Camaway and Sacagawea are brought to life through our unique images.
So here we took the Midjourney characters that we generated and we inputted their image with the actors' voices into a facial animation and lip syncing tool called DID.
Then seamlessly integrate into the DID AI tool.
We can then live in the country of the buffalo and eat as our enemies do, not hide ourselves in these mountains and live on the roots and berries as the bear do.
Go on with the expedition? I have finally returned home. Charbonneau cannot hurt me here.
But the journey didn't end there. Enter Midjourney to Runway AI tool, where we meticulously curate the images we need to immerse our audience in the 1800s setting. With each iteration in Mid-Journey, we fine-tune our visuals to keep you engaged and the narrative flowing. The final touch? Importing these refined Mid-Journey images into Runway, where each still image of Sacagawea's superpowers are infused with the motion and energy we envision, transporting you into a world of storytelling like never seen before. Join us on Birdwoman's mesmerizing journey as we bridge the gap between still images and dynamic videos.
So after this, we decided that we would move on into what we call chatbots. And I got a grant from my university where I teach at New York Institute of Technology, and I'm a professor there, and they gave me a grant to investigate chatbots for leveraging AI in education. But I also believe that these chatbots can be used for entertainment engagement as well. And so if you go to our website, amerikids.com, you can ask Lewis or Clark or Sacagawea, or we have all the major characters there, York and Charbonneau, and you can ask them any question. And here is an example of, we asked Sacagawea what she thought of the trip and how she was treated on the trip. And here's what she had to say.
The captains afforded me greater respect than I had known before. Though brought along as a guide, I became a valued member of the expedition. Captain Clark showed care for my infant son. The captains listened to my counsel on the long journey and entrusted me with important tasks. Recognizing my contributions, I will always appreciate their defense of me against mistreatment. Their conduct revealed they viewed me not just as a guide, but as a partner on our voyage into the unknown. I am thankful the Great Spirit saw fit to have our paths cross.
So we believe that this chatbot technology will be used to market films, to engage in social media, to sell the products. And we're very excited. And we also think it's a ed tech solution to teaching anything in the world, not just history, but any kind of subject, whether it's science or meteorology, whatever you want to teach. So with that, we are this film will be aired starting September 1st on Family Time. Our partners, Questar Entertainment, is going to be distributing it first on Family Time and then on Tubi and Freevee. And we believe that this is the beginning of AI, not the end. And that this is the end of my presentation, but the beginning of AI, because as Regis said, it's just one iteration of the versions that they're making of AI for filmmakers. And that's it for today. Thank you.
All right, switch back to me. All right, thank you everybody for hanging in here. I appreciate all of our speakers. Let's give them a big thank you, thumbs up, however you'd like to do it, for their sharing their projects with us and how they created them. But they've just scratched the surface. So if you have more questions, go ahead and put them into the chat. I have some questions here, but I would like to see and get to answer your questions first. And I'm happy to unmute you as well if you just want to ask your question, and you can raise your hand with the Zoom raise your hand tool. But in the meantime, while you're thinking of your questions and getting them into the chat, I want to just repeat for anybody who maybe wasn't here or someone who's watching the Zoom on YouTube and maybe caught in the middle of it or something. what the Art of Movie Making Film Festival is and what we're doing here, giving a webinar on AI. We are the TAMMFF, or also known as the TAMMYs, is a place for behind the scenes creatives to showcase their work and to get awards and recognitions in areas where they are usually pretty much overlooked. So AI is quickly becoming an area that is making people question about the future of their jobs. As an animator, am I still going to have a job, or how is it going to change? If I have a stunt performer, am I still going to be needed to do motion graphics, or is it going to take over? I feel like a lot of similar questions came up when CGI became popular. So these people are people who have actually done some of this work, and because they've had their hands in it, they have a head start in having to answer some of these questions, and I'm sure they're getting these kinds of questions all the time. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask the first question here is, something that excites me about AI filmmaking is that it's not only can recreate what we already do with technology, but it lets creatives explore new formats that weren't possible before. So what are some new use cases for these tools that you are looking forward to? And I will go ahead and ask Matty to answer this one first. And then if Lynn or Regis wants to chime in, then you can let us know before we move on to the next question. So Matty, do you want to take that one on?
Great. Yes. So what interests me about AI filmmaking is similar to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now you don't have to worry about those manual kind of granular tasks of green screening something out, coloring each frame in the animation. And now you can focus on those higher level challenges where you really do want to be spending your time of story, of character development, of really those high impact areas. I think what this might mean for filmmaking, especially from individual creators, is that you get films that are hyper personalized. I think, they say, oh, your Netflix thing, you're going to write a prompt and it's going to be, a film with you in it, or, 50 films with Ryan Reynolds. But I think that's not really the vision I see. I think that might be an option. But what I'd rather see is that it's more hyper personalized in terms of the type of content that you're going to be able to consume, by finding stories that you wouldn't have been able to discover otherwise, that are hyper personalized to your community, to your friends, to those issues that you do care about. I think being able to find those and connect them and really have that human element of resonating with them. On one hand, I think, that could lead to people being more in a bubble, right? An echo chamber in a way. But I think for some of these entertainment use cases, it might just lead to you finding other people you connect with and stories you connect with too. So that would be my what I'm looking most forward to starting with.
So I think the issue of money is very important here, because filmmaking has become very, very expensive. And now with AI, we can cut the costs of filmmaking dramatically, where if you as an independent filmmaker can use AI to storyboard, you could use AI to communicate with your colleagues, or you can use it to make a whole motion picture. So I think that it behooves everybody in the film business to learn the tools and see what case you want to use them for. Right now, you can only make 4 seconds of video of motion. So some of them claim to be making more, but right now the tool is very limited in terms of motion. So I am looking forward to the time when AI will be able to make longer pieces of clips of video motion, because right now we had to fool you to think that the film was actually not just 4 seconds of film clips, but that's what we had to work with as of August 2024. But we will see what happens in the future.
All right, thank you. Regis, you want to take this one too?
Yeah, just making a comment as well. My perspective on this, just like I mentioned, that I see AI coming up just social media came a few years ago, and the way people were avoiding it, and the ones who took advantage of it in the beginning, are making a lot of money with it, or taking really good leverage. And the link I'm creating is that yes, it will allow a boy, 11-year-old boy that lives in the Amazon jungle in Brazil, if he has internet, to create, like really complicated images and stuff. But I also don't think that the films that we make, like, it will not change the budgets of the films that we make. I just think we're gonna put the money in different places. The things we can do with AI will help us get more production value and just help us make even better films than we could before. But like if I'm making a film with $2 million, I will still use the $2 million. Maybe I'll just allocate it differently. That's the way I see it.
I think for me, seeing your projects and seeing some of the things that are submitted, like to Matty's competition, it's been interesting to me that, I think the general thought is, Regis, you alluded to this when you were talking, is that, AI is, we're gonna just put in a prompt and it'll spit out a movie. But, it's the same thing with chatting with AI. I can say, write me a book on XYZ, and I'm not gonna publish that book. I mean, there are people doing that, but you can tell. And so it depends on your end use purpose, right? Do I want to create something people know is AI generated and this an idea of your concept that I came up with? Or is this something that I want to use AI to give me a head start, point me in the right direction, and then I could take it, use my, like you said, use your budget to bring in the artist and change it and put it in a different direction that people aren't going, this is AI the whole time, And so that's been interesting to me, but it was also interesting to me with like Impact Hope, that you're using it to fill in the blanks where you can't or would not want real footage. I don't want, it's intrusive, and it's not something that you want to see, those effects of war. And there are people who are showing those for different reasons, fundraising and different things, but in a documentary setting, you may not be wanting to do that. And I think that's why otherwise, typically they go to still shots, right? We'll still show a still and not video. It's more intrusive to people's lives that way. So that's interesting to me, that is another use case that I don't think that is the first thing that people think of. And then historically going back and saying, well, clearly we don't have this footage. So let's see what we think it might have looked like based on all of the knowledge that we have. So that's interesting to me. So next question, Matty, I'm interested to know from your AI competition, like what types of, along those same lines, what types of things have you seen? What types of things have surprised you? What are some submissions that you've gotten that have been like, wow, I never thought I would see something come through like this?
There was such a wide range in that 1,300 submissions. We had music videos, 3D animations. People really took some of the rules and the concepts and constraints and really played around with them a lot. One of my favorites was this music video called "It's an Instrument," where he actually rendered himself, the filmmaker whose handle was Mr. Assisted. He rendered himself live. He was like playing guitar, DJing on a MIDI, and then rendering it in real time with AI. So I thought that was such a cool project. There was an interactive film that someone had spun up where you could make different choices, and they gave people the ability to download it too and try it out for themselves. And then you had the more traditional music videos, short films, and narratives. I think the ones that did really well, it was nice that in time for the competition, we had Runway Gen 3 coming out, Luma coming out. So people were really able to leverage those tools. But the ones that I think still excelled were video to video. So being able to take real footage have actors, have these characters, or some type of base animation, and then stylizing on top of it. So essentially rotoscoping. If you look back at the old days of animation in what Disney would do, or they would film footage, for example, like Alice in Wonderland. They'd film footage of real people dancing or making movement for that, the human motion and the fluidness of that, and then draw on top of that, and then that would be the final added to the final comp. The AI one does a similar thing where you take the real video, you do skeletal tracking, and it knows like how the character is supposed to look. You can insert what's called a LoRa, a low rank adaptation, where you're able to have that character consistency. They were able to make some really impressive things, and I think even though individuals are going to be able to make these films, I think the ones that do reach those mainstream audiences are going to be in teams. And I think some of the best projects, we did have some amazing ones coming from individuals, but when you have people who are able to divide and conquer, one person does sound, one person does directing, one person does the writing, and are able to bring that all together, I think that results in something really special. So amazing set of entries. I'd recommend going to the Project Odyssey website, checking it out, and I think each time we're going to see some really new, surprising ones that reinvent the genre a little bit. I wonder if AI is going to be absorbed into traditional filmmaking genres or be its own separate thing, similar to immersive and 360 video. But we've wanted to provide just a taste of what's possible today, a snapshot of the technology of what can people just create in 1 month's time, a limited time frame, especially with the technology moving so fast. If you spend a year on these films, sometimes with the way the updates are coming out, by the time you make it to market, it could be, some parts of it could be updated or need to be redone. So we try to keep it constrained to just that time period, and under 4 minutes for this one. For the next one, I think we'll be doing TV pilots. We'll be letting people do 10, 12-minute shorts, and then trying to be able to give them extra funding to turn that into something greater.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And along the same lines, the Art of Movie Making Film Festival does have AI as a category for its first year this year. So we've already gotten several submissions, and they're really cool and all very different. So people who submit to your competition, if they want to take it further, or if they got good results there, or they want to add to it and then submit to us for something more, we are welcoming those submissions as well. And submissions are open now. Our submissions are open super duper cheap, $10, $5 students always, all year long, for the 2025 awards. And let's see, I think I would like to hear from all of you. Lynn spoke of a couple of softwares that they use to do their project, but maybe some people listening or tuning into the Zoom later will want to know if they're first getting into it, or even if they're already doing it, like what kinds of software are you guys looking at and using to create your projects? Or are there any specific entry-level ones or something that you recommend to people if they're trying to get started into this? And Matty, since you're already up, we'll start with you, and then I'll go to Regis and then to Lynn.
Sure, I'll let Lynn and Regis talk to more of the closed source tools. I'll talk more to the open source side, since that's what our creator community works with. So that's like Stable Diffusion, working with kind of a node-based system called Comfy UI, and that's where you are able to do some of that skeletal tracking, that rotoscoping, and have a very high degree of control over making a custom workflow, doing some lip sync with it as well. It does take more in-depth knowledge. You have to have a RTX, I think, graphics card. You can do it in the cloud as well, but it does take some time to get ramped up. There is friction to it, but we're trying to make that more accessible, because I think the open source workflows are the most powerful. They really provide some of that freedom in terms of what you want to be able to create, and that fine-tuned control.
That's awesome. So on my side, I can share that like we've been using different AI tools for different purposes, but like we've been using a lot of AI to create pitch decks. Pitch decks are going like to the next level with AI. We can create, you know, mock-up teasers and then like all the imagery of look and feel and everything that really helps. And we're using and then a lot of Midjourney and Runway Gen 3 for that. But then for the documentary, you use a lot of DALL-E, Midjourney, Runway, and we use a lot of 11 Labs as well, because we had the founder of the organization that helps refugees in Rwanda. She was like the voice throughout the documentary. So we had interviews with the subjects, but she was like the voiceover. And when we shoot documentaries, we don't have a script. We have an outline, and then once we have the footage, you have somebody that's called the story producer. That was me, and I'm finding the story with the footage that we already have. And then I thought, you would think like, I need an audio, I need a voiceover of Mindy saying such and such and such. So I would write down what I wanted her to say, and I cloned her voice, and then I would put it in 11 Labs, and then I would have the exact voiceover that I wanted from her with the intonation and everything. The first time I did it, she was like, I don't remember recording that. Not even her recognized it was not her voice. So we used that a lot in the process of creating the voiceover. So like when we're doing even like narrative corporate work and stuff, AI really helps to get like the first cut, the first draft to the client with more elements to help, because they can't visualize what's going to look like. So you can help them with AI before it's their actual voice or the actual graphics that's going to go there. You can help with AI. And I think another tool that we've been using that's really good is Wonder Dynamics, that you can create CG characters with AI. So like, and that would be a video to video AI generation, like Matty mentioned. So like if I shoot with my iPhone, my wife walking down the road, and then I upload it to Wonder Dynamics, I can replace my wife with a alien or anything, with a robot or anything, and it looks like perfect. Her expressions, lip syncing, everything. So it does need some retouching, but like anything. So yeah, I think these are the main tools that we've been using a lot. Oh, one more thing. We've been using a lot of ChatGPT as well, because then you can attach documents. So like I can attach a script, and so like I'm submitting a film project to get a film grant in Brazil, for example. And I can upload to ChatGPT the document with the requirement for that grant, and then my script. And then I can ask ChatGPT to analyze the script and the requirements, and it will give me like everything I need to know to submit to that thing. So yeah. Okay, that's it.
So I was particularly interested in the idea of the characters speaking. And most of the AI these days has a voiceover or doesn't have a character speaking, because it's very hard to get the characters lip sync and the facial animation in most AI tools. So we discovered DID, and they were very excited by us using DID because they were not seeing that as a filmmaking tool. They were seeing it as an enterprise tool to use on your website to sell some widget or another. And so they started giving us a lot of credits so we could keep exploring with GID. And they're really invested. They were the same thing with the chatbot. So the problems are getting a character's whole body to move. They don't, if you really look at animation these days, you expect the whole character to move. And that has not been solved yet. Move and talk at the same time. So we had to do with the camera facing forward and a close-up to get that voice and lip sync and facial movement. So I hope that this new iterations of AI will solve that problem. But we were using Midjourney, we were feeding it images, we were feeding it prompts, and the prompting element is very complex. You have to learn how to communicate with this tool. Prompting is not just, oh, give me this image and it generates it, because it's doesn't really know exactly what you want. And then once it gets you what you want, every time you ask for another image, it has not solved the problem of creating the same face every time. So if we had this problem with Sacagawea, for example, we wanted her to look the same, but the facial similarity is still something that AI needs to solve. It hasn't solved it. The other problem that AI has is things like fingers and legs. The fingers and legs will start getting distorted. It still has not solved the problems of the human body. So we're waiting for that to be solved. But Midjourney is this, we found, was the state of the art so far for us to create high-end images. But then we still had to, even though they look good, they still needed to be on a film and to be bigger than your small little screen here. We still had to go into Kriya, which is a software tool that upscales, because their upscaling technology is still not perfected. So then of course, Runway, when we started using it, it had invented this brush technology where you brush, let's say in the boat. We wanted the boat to move in the water while the clouds were moving. So we had, each brush had to be configured with another color and another set of prompts to tell it, well, you move left and you want to move fast, you move slow. And then of course, you can't have too much movement because then everything starts getting distorted. So the state of the art is very early stages right now in AI technology, but that's 3 or 4 tools that we used primarily. We tried other tools. We tried DALL-E, we tried Stable Diffusion, makes beautiful images, Stable Diffusion. But, in terms of the characters that when we wanted our character, we went to Midjourney because they could create a beautiful Sacagawea and a beautiful Lewis and Clark. And we wanted it to have that game. We used the prompt Unity because we wanted it to have that game feeling about it, that you were inside of a game rather than just a film. So that you felt like you were in a 21st century kind of game medium, so that this issue, the problem of having them to speak directly to the camera, was we tried to take what was a problem and make it an asset by giving it a very 21st century look to them.
Okay, that was a great explanation of that. Thank you. Regis, so what do you think moving forward, how can the AI filmmakers and the traditional filmmakers, like what is the best path of moving forward, and what would be an ideal scenario for filmmakers to come together on how this is incorporated into the film world?
I would say that first thing is not avoiding the topic would be great. And just really like taking the time to open the tools that would have mostly to do with your craft, and playing with it and like watching YouTube videos, keeping up to date because like every week there is something new that is released. So I think, yeah, just keeping up to date and playing with the tools, like it helps so much. Like for me as a producer, you know, I can budget a feature like in seconds using AI. Of course, I have to go through it and check everything, but it would take me a week, and now it would take me like an hour or two. So just like, yeah, keeping up to date and listening to podcasts, AI podcasts, watching YouTube videos and playing, yeah.
What about for the like behind the scenes creatives? If I'm a puppet maker, should I be learning something? Should I be doing something new? Or should I just be kind of continuing to make my puppets, but understanding that AI is still there?
I think like as a puppet maker, well, it wouldn't hurt, right? Because you never know what AI tool they are going to create next that could be really great for a puppet maker. But then if you're late in the game, there is a really huge learning curve for you to get there. So if you get used to it now, but even like if you use like 11 Labs to create voices and stuff, or if you use one of those tools to create music, that music with puppets, that's amazing. Yeah, you know. So yeah, I think it's helpful for everyone to you know, to have some level of comfort with AI.
Yeah, that's great. Lynn, did you want to add to that?
I think that because it's so the entry level is so cheap. I mean, it still costs you money, but if you're a puppet maker and you want to use 11 Labs, or you want to use the music, or you want to use scripting, you can test all kinds of storylines with your puppet. And then you can even make a motion picture or another character that the puppet interacts with. So if you're doing a live action puppet show, a live show, and you have a screen where the puppet is talking to his character on the screen, you could become easy to make yourself a filmmaker and have another character that you're interacting with, and you can see that you can actually interact, which is what I think is amazing about this technology. Because when we started out in the 90s with the games, there was this feeling, oh, interactive television is just around the corner, and that all the big corporations were very excited. We got a grant from Oracle Corporation for our game Pony Express Rider, because on their tools, because they thought, oh, you know, interactive TV is going to be there, and Oracle wanted to be in on that technology. Well, you see, here it is 25 years later, and this is the closest we're going to get to interactive television right now.
Matty, when the VR and 360 came to the filmmaking scene, it was separated into its own category. As AI films become more prevalent at the film festivals and maybe in your own competition, do you see them segmented into their own categories or being absorbed into existing ones? I think I got that question right.
Yeah, so for I think for cans, there was a AI category for Tribeca, Runway, and I think Sora started to work with them for the human powered shorts program. So they are have begun to be separated out a bit because I think it's not at the same. You can still tell that it's different enough from those traditional use cases. But looking at the Oscar winning shorts program, like animated shorts program from this past year, I saw the theatrical releases and they had it, I think, on streaming as well. I think a majority of them, those films, you could have used AI. And not that they did, but I think you could have to a certain degree, and it would be almost indistinguishable. In terms of the transparency, I think that is good to say. This is, we did use AI. This is exactly how we used it, and not trying to hide that in some way. Even for some AI competitions, there's been some interesting controversy where people have submitted real images to these, and people are so surprised at the quality, and the real image wins the AI competition. So I think at some point there will be a convergence. I think right now there's enough distinction where, especially for video, you can tell it, but it's getting really realistic. If you look at Luma, if you look at some of the newcomers to the scene, so coming out of China, there's Vidu and Kling, where you can have like a panda strumming a guitar in a forest. It has the shadows, it has the lighting and the reflection, and it's an 8 or 16-second clip. So I think as it gets closer to traditional production and recreating what we can already do, and I don't think every frame has to be rendered to. There are some AI techniques where it's just green screening something or upscaling it, where it's not it's a tool in the process rather than it being the overall film. But I think that's up to the festivals, who are often coming from those more traditional backgrounds, and there is still resistance to that. So I think it's being able to showcase how everyone can benefit.
Awesome, thank you. And if we don't get any other questions in here, I think the last one may be how would you best give a person advice to get started, to learn these tools? And again, we're behind the scenes creative, so not just the filmmakers themselves, but anybody who's interested. I make puppets, I want to see how I can make it into a film. I do set design, I want to see how I can start maybe I'm just using AI to give me some ideas before I go and build a set, or finish the design on something. What advice do you have for taking these foundational tools and teaching them to new creatives? Are there courses? Should they just be, like Lynn said, going on YouTube and following people? How do they get to the next level and being able to produce something?
So I think that should I go first?
No, you go first.
Go ahead, Lynn.
So they take a lot of these tools are now going to be incorporated into Adobe Premiere. So Adobe Premiere is making deals with a lot of these companies, so that, let's say you're an editor and, I'm missing a scene with a bridge. They could go in, you could say, give me that bridge, and feed the bridge, and it'll generate 5 seconds of a bridge that you just give it the image of the bridge that you like, and it will generate that. So it behooves, if you're an editor, you really are going to have to learn that tool, because it's going to be part of Adobe Premiere. And I don't know who else is acquiring it, but I think if you're in the film business, it's a tool that can help you storyboard. If you're an art director or a costume designer, this is a tremendous tool to present to your team and say, this is what I think that the costumes should look like. This is what here's if you're doing a set, here's 5 different sets that we could generate here, or you're a location a scout, here's 5 different locations, and this is what I think we could have in the movie or not in the movie. So it generates storyboards, it renderings that will save you so much time and so much energy, and you can communicate quickly and low cost, rather than having to go to Utah and to go take pictures of Utah or whatever, or wherever you want to shoot. And what goes in the scene, and then if you're a cinematographer, this is what I want, this is how I'm going to light the scene, this is where I want in the foreground, this is what I want in the background, so that you're communicating directly with the team on how it's going to look and how it's going to feel, and this is the style I want to do it in. So what's great about AI is that it will generate all of that for you if you learn how to communicate with it, because it's a tool just like any other tool. There's a learning curve of learning how to communicate with it. So right now the internet is full of YouTube videos, is full of, even AI is generating a lot of AI tutorials on how to use AI. So I think if you're interested, it's certainly worth the effort because it's here to stay.
All right, thank you. Regis?
What I would have to add to that is if somebody just wants to know like how to get started, and I would say that a lot of the work with AI is understanding in your head how to reverse engineer, to know how those tools can help you to do each thing that you need, and also like how to write those prompts, how to make the right questions to those tools, and so watching YouTube videos on how to make the right questions for AI, how to create the best prompts, that could be helpful. And even if you want to ask this to ChatGPT, it can also help you. It can help you create prompts to itself. It can help you create prompts to other tools. And also like sometimes, like when I the first time I wanted to budget a film with AI, I was like, can I budget a film with AI? Let me ask Chat. I asked Chat, how can I create a film budget with AI? And then it gave me like a bunch of ideas, but also like it suggested tools because now it searches the web. So if you just ask Chat how to do something with AI, it will tell you. That's a really good way to start.
I spent a lot of time talking to my chat GPT. His name is Zed. If he's interested, if you have any questions for Zed, you can let me know because him and I have a relationship. And he gives me lots of good advice. I hope. We'll wait and see. But thank you for that information. Anisha, Dario, let's see, Brian, Stuart, anybody have any questions? Feel free to just unmute at this point and ask a question if you have one.
So I want to put a pitch in for Claude AI, which is a competitor to Chat GPT. And I have found that Claude is, and there's people reviewing the difference between Claude and Chat GPT, and Claude is much more verbal. So if you're writing something and you need good prose, Claude is better at that.
Okay, that's very interesting. Zed may have some competition here for my time.
Don't get too attached.
Right.
Have to break up.
Stuart, I see you turned your camera on. Did you have a question?
I did actually, and that is a good point. What Terencio mentioned about how there's kind of like or all of you mentioned that there's a very large stigma in many industries regarding the use of AI's application, even just like talking about it. For example, I'm a game designer, but I was hired by a law firm because they didn't know what to do, and I specialize in world building. So they reasoned that I could use those skills to like basically just like get placed in their law firm, in their business environment, and figure out where they got to the point that they were, which wasn't good, and how all the different parts and mechanisms were working and how to fix that. And prior to that, I had been working with AI for a year. And so one of the first things I joined, and one thing I noticed is that number one, tons of staff didn't really know how to progress, didn't know what to do, and also did not have a clear pipeline for skills to not only just better themselves, but feel like they have some professional hope to continue to move on in various aspects. We had very weak IT, and I eventually changed that. But instantly, the moment that I mentioned AI, even like the law firm's IT and then their like secret black ops AI division, like didn't want anybody to talk about it, didn't want anybody to use it. And at the same time, everybody had access to them all, had access to Gemini, ChatGPT. I constantly overhear people not realizing that like, hey, 3.5 isn't connected to the internet. You're making travel plans for like the CTO. That's not real. It's literally just hallucinating a bunch of information. And other like people using it, I'm like, that's not really all that secure. I don't know if you know how to use it. And I tried to generate that and talk about that and you know, figure out a way to get people to understand. And as I've moved through different circles and applied that same creative approach to, you know, using AI, but also just telling people about it. So even if they're not actually going to use it for that project, for that job, that they feel like they have another avenue personally to explore things. And then maybe they don't use it at work, but they go outside, they budget, they work on their passion projects, they answer some questions that they have, and they come back to work in a better mood with less things on their mind. I guess my question for all of you professionals is that in your experiences, what do you think is the best way to go about, you know, not only just using AI for yourself or for a specific project, but to help a team or even help a team that is not as tech or AI savvy, period?
All right, thank you for that question, Stuart, and thank you for your background. I was looking for a game person to speak about games on here. So got your number now. Anybody want to take that one? Regis?
Thanks for the question. That is a tough one. So the question is how would you say we could help a team that is not tech savvy?
Yeah.
I think, well, people will have resistance to it, as you know, like a good friend of mine was working at a lawyer's office, and they wouldn't even have a computer, and like people would have any sort of resistance to any kind of technology. So if their resistance is to technology, there is not much you can do. But if they just don't know how to navigate it, then it's much easier to help. Starting like the basic points, like you need to learn how to ask questions and learning like which specific tool you need for each specific thing. I don't know if that answers our question, but I think that's the best I could come up with right now.
Lynn?
I think a good introduction to AI is I use something called CRISP AI or Read AI, which takes notes of our Zoom meetings and generates a summary, and it is absolutely fabulous. And once you have a Zoom meeting and you can send a set of notes without somebody having to take the notes. That is a great introduction to AI. And then if you have to write a proposal and you have to fill out a certain format, if you ask AI, if let's say the team has to do that, and you say, okay, well, we'll just put it into Claude, or we'll put the questions into ChatGPT or whatever software you want, and it generates the answers, and then you can iterate on that. When you show the team that they could do this in half the time with half the energy, that shows people what AI is as a time saver and as an energy saver. I mean, I teach business communications, and I see my students trying to submit projects to me, and I have, there is something called AI detection tools. And so I could put it through the AI detection and tell immediately that it's something that's been AI generated. So you need to really enter your own style, your own content, but then you can show it to the team and say, hey, look, this is something that we can generate together, and we can solve a proposal, solve a problem together quickly. That's what I would recommend.
Let me just add to Lynn, because she said something that made me think that you know, a good way to introducing AI to somebody that's not tech savvy is just like waiting for the right opportunity, that they are trying to do something that you see they are struggling, and you know how to do that in a so much easier way with AI. But if you try to introduce it earlier, they will not really see the point, or they will not really want to learn. Like my wife was doing a UGC video a few months ago, and she was like really struggling to get like the pronunciation right for specific words. And then I just recorded her and I cloned her voice. And then I showed it to her. Like, how did you do that? It's spending hours trying to get this right. And then it just like opened up her mind, like, wow. So like when you're able to wait for the right moment and show it to the person, it just like do this, and then they're open to learn more.
Matty, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, my recommendation might be a little bit from a different take. I think it's a communication issue where you need someone who can speak the language of both parties, who can be that intermediary. And it, you know, maybe in this case, it sounds like that's you, Albert, but of someone who can identify what are those opportunities, be able to communicate it in that accessible way. Because sometimes just putting it in the filmmaking terms, right? The creatives don't always see the business side, and the business people don't always see the perspective of the creatives and the artists. And you need those facilitators to be able to bring both those groups together. And I think that's what the TAMMYs and some of these talks are all about, of being able to create that bridge, to create that first time of opportunity to connect with people from these other groups, to be able to understand and have that common ground, and be able to start that conversation from there.
Awesome. Thank you. Stuart, I hope that answers your question. If not, everyone's contact information is currently in the chat. If anybody else still on wants to put their information in the chat, feel free. Please join us, like I said, on LinkedIn. There's plenty of space to have conversations in there with anyone and everyone. We want to have more informational webinars, networking events, whatever this evolves into. We want to do more of this. So if there's a specific topic that you think would be interesting for behind the scenes creatives to come together on, Stuart, we may do one just on games at some point. And we can focus people in there who have questions and want to know more about what's happening currently now and where the future of games and video is going. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to anybody, submit them into the TAMMFF LinkedIn page. You can also email us at info@tammff.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on Instagram. I want to thank everybody, Matty, Lynn, and Regis, for giving us their time and sharing their projects. Matty has talked about how the AI community is really, there's the people who are avoiding it, but those who aren't avoiding it are really being open and sharing and collaborating, and really appreciate you guys for being part of that and doing that here. Does anybody have last words they want to say before I do my final last words and close this out? Any of our speakers? Okay, awesome. You guys have already shared plenty.
You were great, Laura. Thank you.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. So with that, our next events are the New Jersey event. Please get your submissions in for it. If you have any finger, toe, nose in New Jersey, something you live there, you did film there, you did your schooling there, something in New Jersey, go ahead and submit your projects to that event. And like I said, that is for you to be participating in the screening, to participate in Q&A, and then be submitted into the awards for 2025, which will be held here in New York City next September. And then after that, and next year, we're having an LA event and an Atlanta event. So really look forward to seeing those of you who are in LA at that one, but stay tuned for those details. And if you want to be involved, we are looking for volunteers. You can go to the website at www.tammff.com and fill out the sponsor form, or just email us at info@tammff.com. I want to also thank Laz again for helping with the tech and switching these microphones on and off for 2 hours. Appreciate that. And of course, Aldea, our creative director, for standing by on letting people in and answering chat questions. So I think that is it. Everyone have a wonderful night or day if you're just starting, and we'll see you later.